absolutely. Okay, so we're here with my friend Christopher Jacob, and Kelly is here as a moderator as well. And we're talking about the inventory crisis in Austin. And I think that what we've seen is when, at least the way I look at it, we've had an inventory crisis. It seems like things really started to turn the corner after the Oracle announcement. I'm not sure how much that had to do with it, but Chris is a person who's infatuated with data, and he's got a group called the Housing Report on Facebook that I've been following. And you're always crunching the numbers. And I thought it'd be great for our team, and we're also going to release this as a podcast to really have you go over that data with us. And we have I think I told you 30 minutes. We have a little bit longer than that. We can go probably to like 12:45 if we need to. I'm not sure if we'll need that much time. But let me get my screen ready here. And I think I'm ready. And we'll start sharing the data. And I'm just kind of telling me, well, before we even do that, what is your takeaway on when did this become super crazy? Because what I'm seeing agents talking about hundreds of offers, 50 to 100 offers per property. Do you know when that occurred and why?
So I don't know the why. It actually started occurring about 16 days ago. It's kind of crazy. So some of the things I really like to track is there's always relationships and ratios that you can kind of look at. And something that manifested in Austin last year about June 1st was we started consuming available inventory faster than it was coming to the marketplace. And that had been sustained for a solid 6 months. And what it had done on the annual charts was you used to see that for the last 20 years, we consumed 80% of what was available. And it would just get kind of gobbled up. You'd have homes that sat on the market forever, never sold. There was that kind of ebb and flow of supply. And since we had hit a negative supply, so we started reducing the number of active units, it kind of really manifested itself. And then we got into the Christmas slowdown. And then after the new year, we saw that inversion of supply and consumption, where on a rolling 1 year horizon, we're consuming inventory faster than it's coming to the marketplace. And that started about 16 days ago. We're on day 10 of consecutive, where the 1 year rolling number is greater, pending is greater than the 1 year supply. And I think that really was kind of the catalyst for it's going to get crazy. Because when we inverse, good.
Well, in terms of causation, which I don't know this to be true, this is what I think. Okay, and here's, I mean, obviously this was going to happen. We had our slow time in December, which wasn't slow at all. Okay, so that's one part of it. The thing that stood out to me is that if you Google Austin investment properties, we're on the top 3, and we're 2 spots in the top 3. Okay. Typically that led to a few leads a month, nothing big, but it was sometime in December. And I remember it was after the Oracle announcement that I literally got in 30 days, I think, Kelly, we had 34 leads, registrations that are looking for investment property in Austin. And that may not seem like a lot, but it actually is a lot compared to what we normally get. And the people that we were getting were more serious. They're people in the Bay Area. So I think that actually might have been some part of the cause.
I think that was part of the cause, and that the corporate relocation of Oracle is kind of interesting. My wife implements Oracle, has been working with Oracle for 20 years. And one of the things to kind of really look at was, if you go and dig into that press release, it was a corporate relocation with no movement of jobs. So they're still keeping their brick and mortar in California, but they're with what COVID's doing and the fluidity of the workplace, you don't have to work where your office is. So obviously there's that ancillary movement of people who are like, I'm getting out of the Bay Area, why be house poor when I can go be house rich in Austin? So I think that there is some correlation there, but the big corporate relocations, they're not going to, when you go to the Oracle campus in the Bay Area, it's these beautiful buildings. It's crazy nice. I've been there a couple times with my wife when she's been there for training. And that's a lot of jobs. They got a huge campus on East Riverside, and then to really replicate what they've got in California, you'd be looking at another million plus square footage
Well, but
required
they
to house this
bought a
stuff.
piece of land next
They
to
have,
it right then.
yep,
So I think that's probably coming. Another thing
yep.
that I'm expecting to happen that has not been announced yet, that I just know is going to happen, is that you're going to see, like, Tesla's got what is how many jobs is that? 5,000
Crazy numbers.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
From
then you have
making,
all their sub suppliers that are going to come. You have all their
yeah.
sub tiers below that are going to come. Applied Materials this week announced, I mean, they've got their 1,000,003 square footage on 290 East and 130. They announced they're adding another 800,000 square feet in one building. So they're taking their position in Austin to 2 million square feet.
Yeah.
Facebook
Well, what I was going to say is that what I've heard on the street and what I've actually seen it myself, there's a $2.3 million home. The Tesla jobs are 50 to 70,000. Okay, there's a $2.3 million home in my neighborhood that was bought by an executive. I'm heard from several agents that they're looking, that executives from Tesla are moving to Austin. I just know that it has not been announced yet, but it will be announced that Tesla HQ is moving. I think he's going to move the whole operation here.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement. They've acquired so many acreage and adjacent acreage down there that I really think it really is going to be announced, and it really will be happening. I was on a call with the Cedar Park EDC last week, looking at some hotel pad sites for an investor, and they were the EDC indicated that, hey, we've got some big job announcements coming forth in Cedar Park. And I'm like, Cedar Park's landlocked and running out of space, and they're still bringing jobs to town. So yeah, I think Tesla would not surprise me one bit. If they completely relocated that, I think California is going to tax itself out of jobs, especially some of these higher paying jobs where they're like, well, I can do it anywhere. I'm never home anyways. Let me go relocate to Texas and pay the property taxes, because that's still cheaper than my income tax bill. And I've had California investors out the yin yang calling, going, I need 8 new duplexes. And I'm just like, there aren't any.
Right.
We'll get them for you, but they just don't exist.
Well, let's take a look at your numbers here, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is pending listing values. We'll go through the charts as you pull them up. This is really interesting. So we talked about values and where valuation's going and where the marketplace is going. And one of the things Austin's historically done for 20 years is we can maintain that 6 to 8% annual growth amortized out over a period of time. COVID really kind of had us all scared come March, because we all kind of like hunkered down. We're going to save every penny we have. We don't know what the market's going to do, and then interest rates dipped to below 3. And when that happened, stuff went crazy. So you can see about June 1st, about when that inversion happened, we could see that serious spike, and you saw that shift from where homes were averaging about 420 to they hit 480. We've teased 500. We kind of slowed down at the end of the year, and the beginning of the year, we're crossing that 500 mark. And that 500 mark was crossed when we hit that rolling 365.
Gotcha. So the bloom. So if you're listening this in audio only, you're in 2020. The pending listing values. This is showing what they were pending at, not what they closed, right?
Correct. So what they're pending at. So we started 2020 with the average pending floating around $395,000. And we ended the year with the average 30-day rolling floating in the upper 475s. And I want to say our year-end number was in the 467-ish range when we amortize that out over a year. We started the year, we get into this craziness of, showing homes is like going to an amusement park. You got to stand in line and wait your turn, and you get your 30 seconds on it, and then you get off and you make an offer, you get back, you got to get back in line. But we're seeing that pending values increase over the 500,000 point, and they're not slowing down.
Now, is this what is this Austin or
this is the MSA? This is the MSA. The MSA in Austin is Travis County, Hayes County, Williamson County, Bastrop County, and Cadwell County. So we are seeing as a whole.
This is the average value or median?
Average.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, if we have the same scenario we're in this year, I would expect this number to increase 15% over last year's number.
Yeah, at minimum, right?
Conservatively, exactly.
Conservative. So if you bought a home for 400 last year, it's worth over 500 now.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And you know, I have clients who are on the humming and hawing about selling, and I keep telling them, like, wait a month, they'll go up.
Yeah.
Wait another month, you know?
I've got people that are like, hey, should I sell now or wait a year? I'm like, wait a year. Like, if I'm being honest, you know.
Well, we had a conversation where, you know, the message for buyers, for owner occupants, is buy today because it's going to be more expensive tomorrow. The message for sellers are, if you need to sell today, it's a great time to sell. We'll get you top dollar. It's going to be a circus at your house for a weekend.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to sell and you know you want to kind of ride this out, there's still a lot of wave left to ride on this thing, because there is no indicators that we have any change coming forth. I think the number one thing we as an industry need to be watching out for is interest rates, and that probably will drive our first shift in slowing stuff down. So this is kind of cool. This was last night at 8 p.m.
Okay, so we've got a different slide here, and this is showing by city the average list price. Okay, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah, so what we have is we have our cities, we have our number of active units, we have our months, which really should just be days. We have our average list, we have what's gone pending in the last 30 days and what is closed in the last 30 days. And one of the things I really kind of want to look at, because this is an interesting story, is Cedar Park. Cedar Park last Wednesday had 0 available homes for sale, because they just were all consumed over the weekend. This week, yesterday when we ended the day, there were 11 homes active on the market. I suspect that number is going to be lower today. They had 0.18 months, an average list of 475. The last 30 days, the pendings were 432, and the past 30 days of closings were 421. So you can actually see the values increasing in Cedar Park from what closed in the last 30 days to what went pending, which will be our next 30 days of closing, to what will be closing beyond that in the next 45 days. And Cedar Park's closing at 105% of ask. So Cedar Park.
Wait, your average list is 475. And so the pending average, what does that mean? Where do you get that number from?
So I take all the active pendings that were gone under contract in the last 30 days, and we come up with our
average. So that's how much the value's gone up from 432 to 475 within about a month.
Yeah. So you can actually see in the next 60-day horizon in Cedar Park, January's reported closes will average about 421, 425.
Okay.
The pendings for January will be about 435, and then the actives are 475. So we can just kind of see that wave kind of building in Cedar Park. And if you go and look, we closed 65 doors in the last 30 days. We had 61 doors go pending, and we have a supply of 11.
Okay.
So increases all seem reasonable.
So now tell me about Austin, because I'm going to just read this for you. By the way, if you're listening to this, you can go email me, Ryan@spyglassrealty.com, and I will send you the video of this. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. I never say that. This is the first time I've said that in like a year. So, but let's talk about Austin for a second, right?
Yeah.
We got 0.37 months worth of inventory. Why is there such a difference? Because the average list price in Austin is $1,750,000. 30-day pending, that's how many there are, right?
Correct. 792 doors went pending.
But the difference in the price of the average list and the average pending is $1 million. So now that's okay. That doesn't mean it went up $1 million.
That's correct. So what we have in Austin's example is we have a disappearing marketplace. In Austin, you are not going to find a door under $350,000. So we really have no FHA buyers available. If you go look at 650 and under, we're about 288 of those. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my numbers right now. In Travis County, 200. Okay, those 292 homes, 248 of them are listed for more than $650,000. So what
Wow.
we have is we have a lot of luxury stuff that just, that's a totally different marketplace than our under $2 million market, because I really feel under 2 million in Austin is kind of a normal home, unfortunately. Because when you look at Zilker, you look at Barton Hills, you're not going to get in for under $1 million, and you can sit then $2 million, and it's not a special house. You
Right.
know,
So if you're looking at this, if you're looking for a home in Austin right now, okay, you've got 292 choices. This is just Austin proper with the city address of
correct.
Austin, okay, and the average list price is 1,750,000. Okay,
Yep.
right now. Now this is a moment in time. This is going to change, obviously, and I think you'll see it go down as more inventory hits the market. Correct?
Correct. I really
Yeah.
think we've got some 12 and $13 million listings that are kind of skewing this.
Yeah.
And if I went and removed everything over 3.4 million,
Hmm.
we would see that average list come down to about $740,000. And that
Gotcha.
3.4 million and higher is about 45 doors.
Got you.
So it's
Okay.
still, it's truly luxury housing that, we just, we'll let Cord sell that.
Yeah,
It's
what we got to do is segment that. If you wanted like a layman's term, you'd segment the data on based on under a million and a million to two, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so
Yeah, because
we'll
I
go
get
through the next couple slides. Let me just first of
yeah.
all, while we're on this slide, Kelly, do you have any questions about this data here? As a no, okay, but
No
look at
questions. The numbers kind of speak for themselves.
yeah. So I just want to read this to everybody. Okay, Austin, this is active homes 292, 1.7. Buda actives, there's 14 homes in Buda right now, and the average list price is 433. Cedar Park 11, 475,000. Dripping Springs 21, 1.4 million in Dripping Springs. Jesus. Georgetown 75 listings, 725 in Georgetown. Lakeway, 12 listings, 1.7 million. Not super surprising because there's some nice communities out there. Leander, 32 listings, it's 640. Okay, and then the pending average for Leander is 435. Liberty Hill, Pflugerville. Liberty Hill is 504. Pflugerville, 7 homes, 391,000. Round Rock, 18 homes, 547. Okay, let's go to the next slide. We got a lot to cover here. So
Hey,
new
I have a
versus pending.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
So I have a question from an agent. Morgan asks, I understand there are no indicators of our market slowing down, and it will likely continue to be a seller's market. How do we know it will still be as crazy of a frenzy a year from now? I know the property will appreciate over 1 year, but do we think sellers will still get these crazy over asking offers with buyers waiving all their contingencies?
And I can say one thing about that. Okay, there is going to be a point in time where a lot of people aren't going to be able to
How do we know
afford
it will still be as crazy of a
because they're going to be priced out of the market, and that will create a slowdown.
Yeah. Ryan, some of the things I really kind of think we might see is, we always talk about when is the next exodus of agents would be, and we always thought it would be a downturn. I think we might actually see an exodus of agents with as tight as this market has become, because you've got
Yeah.
agents writing 40, 50 contracts trying to get one home for a buyer. And there's no sign of this turning around. So if you look at this chart's pretty powerful. And this is what I really kind of focused on with COVID. Emily and I kind of created this because we were really kind of curious, where's the marketplace? When are we going to see an end of this? So when we look at this, there's 2 lines. There's the blue line, which is our supply line of new listings. And then there's the orange line, which is our consumption of listings. And what's really powerful is when we look at March 1st, 2020, the market was ramping up like crazy. We were getting ready to have a crazy summer, and March 1st, buyers disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a full month. Yeah. It was a full month till about April 6th and 7th. And they started turning the treasury on in late March on buying mortgage-backed securities and increasing M1. But really, we were all kind of like preparing for the worst, because we were just watching these pendings go away and go away and go away. And it's like, okay, we're cut all luxury spending, cut everything. Let's just hunker down and figure out what's going on. Well, they turned on the printing presses, and those rates dropped below 3. And as we saw from about April 8th to June, it just blew up. And on June 1st, we saw that inversion of demand exceeding supply. And if we follow that demand exceeding supply, it is operating at about 20% higher than our current supply is coming to marketplace. So I think in the next 45 to 60 days, we're going to just see an acute shortage where we might see our pendings back off a little bit because there's no homes to sell.
Yeah,
You know?
and let me preference what I said earlier when I said that I see a slowdown. Okay, what I mean is there's a certain point if the values keep rising. Okay, and I'm not saying it's slow. This is not a recession I'm talking about, right? You're just going to have people jumping out and getting off the fence because they just can't afford it, and that's going to create an increase, I believe, in the rental market, and that's going to have you're going to see rental rates increase at a higher demand. I think that this market is here to stay and here to appreciate for the next 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years of steady increases. You're just going to have less. You're going to have more inventory in the next year or two because you're going to have less people that can afford that inventory.
That's right. You know, when I talk to the loan officers out there, credit scores aren't the issue for borrowers. It's cash to put a down payment down on a home is the number one obstacle keeping buyers out of the marketplace. And as these prices escalate, that cash to close just goes up and up and up. It's pretty interesting when we look at the shift in the median value over the last year. The payments stayed about the same, even though the value has increased because mortgage rates have gone down. But the cash to close has gone up 10 or 15%. And when you tell a buyer, hey, you need another 10 or 15% cash, it's kind of hard to keep up with that savings rates that are required to keep that cash. But yeah, this really just shows that we went from a seller's market to a strong seller's market in June. Okay. So this is my distribution of price curve by county. I kind of, you know, we're used to measuring inventory in months, and I kind of made a shift late last year and started measuring it in days. So one of the things that kind of stuck out with last night, the numbers are when we start looking at the MSA homes under $350,000, there's 7 days inventory.
Wow.
There's only 3 days of inventory in Travis County. There's 6 days of inventory in Williamson County. This is all under 350,000. There's 10 days in Hayes County. And, you know, I've never really followed Bastrop and Cadwell. I've done 1 or 2 deals out there in 14 years. They've got 16 days inventory, which is astronomical. And what was more surprising was Williamson County as a whole is down to 8 days inventory across all price points.
You know, I think what this tells you is that if you're a developer and you want to build a neighborhood, you know, Bastrop and Caldwell have kind of always been like the redheaded stepchild of Austin, but that might be an opportunity for you.
Yeah, we went up to Bastrop this weekend to go have lunch on Sunday because we're got cabin fever. We're picking a city each weekend to go to and get out. And it took us 20 minutes from the airport to Bastrop. Yeah. I think Bastrop might be the big winner with that the Tesla factory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it'll be easy to get in and out of. They've got favorable building things. They don't have to deal. It's not like the city of Austin. They don't have to deal with the city. And I bet Bastrop sees a building boom that they've just never fathomed in the next 5 years. So I bet that'll be our biggest source of homes under $350,000.
Yeah.
So this chart breaks it down again. We have all our actives across price points, counties, and then all the pendings for the same rolling 30 days. And really it just tells a story of we don't have any inventory, which I think everybody's acutely aware of.
Right. Okay. So this is the 5 to 20 year supply, correct?
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite charts. So what we have is we're looking back to January 2001 through December of 2020. The red line, which is the top line, shows the supply by month, and then the blue line shows consumption. And when we go and add a trend line to the supply, our supply has been pretty steady of homes for about 20 years now. There's the ebb and flow and seasonality, and there's some hills and valleys, but as a whole, the supply in Central Texas has stayed steady. But over that 20-year period, the demand has blown up, and you can actually see how the supply's gone nowhere, and our demand keeps coming up. And I would not be surprised if this chart next year shows that demand crossing over the supply line.
Okay. So, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, you look at this and basically it just shows complete steadiness in this market. You know, it's never been a bad place to invest, right?
Correct. Never been a
Yeah.
bad place. And I think our last chart we have, which really, you know, when people talk, is Austin a safe place to invest? And I just give them this one.
Yeah.
So this is the average value since 1990 in Travis, or in the Austin MSA.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 3 instances where the average value dipped into a negative, and that was 03,
Okay, let me look at
08.
this. 3, but like barely, right?
Barely dipped. It was less than 1%.
Okay,
and these are the average. And then we had 08 and 09, there was a dip, and the 09 dip was about 4%. And when we go look at the median value, which really kind of takes out some of the higher end housing, that median dipped less than 0.5% in that year. So we just didn't have the luxury transactions driving up the averages. But since 1990, the average home in Austin was about $80,000 in 1990. And at the end of 2020, and this is all housing stock, so this is single family homes, townhouses, and condos. The average was $447,000 in 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And one of the things that really surprised me is we talk about bubble. Bubble's one of the things that's come up. And I really don't think we're in a bubble, because when we go look at 2000 was the dot-com boom. And the dot-com bust started about September of 2000. The average value in the MSA increased over 17.5% in 2000. And when we go look at 2012, we're at about 12%. So even though we're seeing these astronomical numbers as a percent of change, it's not a record year. I mean, dollar wise, it's a record year, but a percent of shift in the marketplace, it is not a record year.
That's right. And there's still opportunity. So like, here's the thing that I tell investors, right? First of all, if you're looking to invest in Austin, you know, come in strong, you know, forget your cap rates, forget your, you know, your 1% rule and all this stuff they watch on, you know, podcasts or Bigger Pockets or whatever. This is an appreciation play, right? Number 2 is that, like, we have all of our agents are certified to, with the course that we put them through, to know how to work with investors. And part of that is sourcing deals that somewhat may be off market, you know, like we're still able to find those at some point, right? You know, the other thing is that, like, if you're a seller, and this is something we talked about before, and I talked to a seller yesterday that was like, you know what, Ryan, I get it. It's going to go up for the next couple of years, but like, I have my house is worth $1 million in Zilker, and it's like 1,500 square foot unupdated. Okay. Or not, you know, just a big lot. Right. And he says, like, yeah, but at some point that's going to slow down, and there's just diminishing returns, where if I sell this $1 million home and then I move out to a neighborhood like, you know, Driftwood or Bastrop, that there's more room to go, that's a good thing. And then one more thing that I'm going to tell people that are listening to this is that, like, we have solutions for you to be able to sell your home and you know, cash at fair market value, and then buy a home. Like, we can get your home sold in 7 days. Like, and you don't even, it's 7 days, you're closed. Okay. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it because it's a whole nother segment, but like, you need to be working with people that have solutions to your problems. Putting your home on the market and writing contingent offers is not a solution to your problem, because you will never get that offer accepted. Right. I mean, it's just not going to happen. You got to be talking to people that have options. Do they have a mortgage company that be willing to put in a buy your home and hold back a portion of the money until it's sold? Well, we have that. Do they have investors that are willing to pay cash? We have that. If your home's value, and I see this a lot in Barton Hill and Zilker, that your land value is actually worth more to a developer than an owner occupant would pay, we have that too. So if you're a seller and you're looking at, you know, what am I going to do? How am I going to navigate this crazy market, you look for the company or the broker or the agent that has the most options, right? And then if you're a real estate agent in this market, you're going to have to be really innovative. Okay, you're going to have to compete because, like Chris said, I mean, what was there, 14,000 agents? We're going to lose
there's actually
a lot.
16, almost 17,000 MLS subscribers.
Yeah, MLS subscribers, probably
Yep.
14,000 agents. Of that, 20% don't do, more than probably 30 or 40% don't do any business. And I expect
Yep.
the number to go completely down. And what I'm saying is, like, we competed, we had a meeting last week, and one of my agents, like, I got in 2 multiple offer situations. One had 40 offers, another had 70. And I said, look, guys, don't let this overwhelm you, because you think you're competing with 70 people, but here's the situation. You're only competing with 7, because the 80-20 rule in real estate is actually the 90-10 rule. And what that means is 20% of the people are doing 80% of the business, and real estate is 10% of the people are doing 90% of the business. So you're dealing, if you're in an multiple offer situation with 70 other people, you're dealing, 90% of those people are going to be dumbasses. They really are. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't disagree. I had multiple offers on a condo this weekend, and it was the same thing. I was just kind of looking at them, and then there was one that stood out, and really it was a strong agent that won the deal, not necessarily how it was written. She had her stuff in order, and it gave her buyer the competitive advantage. And I think that's a big key.
I look at what we've done in January of this year. Our team is at 47 million contracted and closed for the year, which is amazing. Okay. And I've done a survey of my agents. We're winning 25% of the multiple offers that were put in. You just got to be smart, right? You just got to have your options. You got to, make it easy for a seller to actually absorb things. But yeah, this is great information, Chris. Really, thank you for putting this together. Anybody that's listening, where can they find you?
Housing Report on Facebook. We're easy to find. We're the only one out there. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to do this again in a couple months. So that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to. I love sharing these things. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I enjoy sharing these things.
All right, buddy. I will see you soon.
All right, man. You guys take care.
Thank you, Chris.
Uh-huh.